we would immediately have repercussions on our project. Our site access would be hampered because we would go to all these super secret
Correct.
Russian sites, which even today, by the way, are not seen on the map.
Right.
If there's some flak somewhere, you have to be able to step up, take the responsibility as opposed to blaming it on somebody else, which is very easy to do. But that's what ordinary people do. You want to be extraordinary, you take ownership. We were deployed in the,
in enemy territory.
Or
the erstwhile enemy territory.
Correct. And obviously, intelligence agencies of both the countries were involved without overtly letting us know about it. Phones obviously were
Tapped. Welcome to the Commander's Compass, and I'm Commander Girish Konkar. Our guest today is Sri Abhijat Sawarkar. From navigating billion-dollar defense contracts with the US and Russian ministries of defense to driving explosive six-fold profit growth in international retail, our next guest is a master of global scale. He has engineered growth strategies across 3 continents, transitioned legacy academic institutions into digital powerhouses, and holds a sharp pulse on the future of AI and Fintech. Welcome to the podcast. Let me welcome Director of Strategy and Transformation, Sri Abhijat Sawarkar. Welcome, Abhijat, to the podcast and look forward to a fantastic conversation.
Thank you, Girishji. I thank you for having me here.
My pleasure.
And I also want to thank you for your service to the nation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I don't think we appreciate veterans enough. So thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So my first question would be, you spent your career was spanning 3 continents, 3 countries is what you've been through, and absolutely, so it's a massive experience. So tell us in just 5 minutes that journey from right from the beginning, schooling, till you're now as a consultant. So rapid fire about your whole thing before we go into the depths of it.
Okay. So essentially, travel is a great teacher. You learn a lot when you travel. It helps you expand your horizons. It is amazing that you have the opportunity to travel. If you get that opportunity, you should take it with both hands. And you should travel, you should meet up with people from various backgrounds. Luckily, I was in that position. I got that opportunity. I'm very thankful for it. Great teacher. It also helps you appreciate your own culture a lot more than what you would in your own country. So was able to do that soon after my high school was over.
Which school were you in? Where?
I did my schooling in Pune.
Okay.
And after that, my mother was posted with the foreign services. So she had some space for excess baggage. That's why she decided to take my sister and me. And so we ended up in then former Soviet Union.
Okay.
So we were in Moscow. And we were there. We witnessed the breakup of the Soviet Union.
Okay.
That was an amazing thing, once in a century kind of a thing.
True.
Which you get to witness. There was a lot of chaos. They removed an existing system and were not able to introduce an alternative system.
Right.
Which led to a lot of chaos. Being a diplomatic kid in that setup was also a large learning process, because you had to go through the cycle of entertaining and being entertained.
Right.
People from within the Indian embassy, people from other countries, and to be able to entertain them, you have to have enough supplies at your home.
Yes.
And supplies was a problem.
Yeah.
Because the system had failed.
Yes.
So there was a lot of various things that we had to do to ensure that the supply was good. A lot of learning there. After the initial years there, I was able to go to the United States. Another wonderful learning experience, because a completely different culture, completely different ethos, and ear to ear smiles, everybody saying hi, hello to you on the streets without knowing even your name.
Right.
So very different compared to the grim kind of looks that people have in the Russian sense of it. But then again, when you strike friendships, the Russians can be very warm. They will
Right.
welcome you with open hearts and open doors and treat you like a brother. Um, my recommendation to anybody who has the opportunity to travel overseas, please do that. Take the opportunity, learn new skills, learn new cultures, and expand yourselves as human beings.
Great. So one of the major companies that you worked with was Raytheon, right? Raytheon, and uh, you literally scaled project of Raytheon from 50 million to 1 billion. That's a breakneck speed for a large organization to really gallop at that speeds. What were your lessons, or what were your entire journey of that about, of such massive transformation taking place in an organization?
Yeah. So I want to say right in the beginning that this was in a team setting. I was part of a team, a very, very motivated, very, very focused business development team who was able to achieve this. When we set out initially, we had one project worth $50 million. When I decided to take a sabbatical after about 11 years, we had multiple projects totaling to about $1 billion.
And what was this project about?
All of these projects had to do with demilitarization.
Okay.
So the Russians and the Americans came together and they decided, look, we have all these missiles and submarines and long distance bombers pointed at each other. Let's bring the threat level down
Right.
to more acceptable levels. So all the projects that I just mentioned, all of them had to do with demilitarization.
Mm-hmm.
The effort was going on in both countries. The Americans were doing it on their own. The Soviets said, look, we've signed the treaty, but we do not have the finances.
Mm-hmm.
So the Americans said, we will provide you the services.
Okay.
That is how Raytheon got the first project.
Okay.
We treated it as the foot in the door,
Mm-hmm.
and then we were able to funnel it to grab more opportunities that came our way. We were not the only one. There were other U.S. defense organizations there, but we probably were able to gather more business than the all the other four put together.
Okay. So what is that secret sauce that got you to gather more business than the other four put together?
I think two ingredients there. Number one is very, very able leadership, and two, you have to be able to work in a team in a way that, well, not in the literal sense, but you have to be able to take a bullet for the team.
Okay.
You're not in a situation, although this has to do with military, you're not in a conflict situation.
Right.
So there's no bullets flying.
Mm.
But if there's some flak somewhere, you have to be able to step up, take the responsibility as opposed to blaming it on somebody else, which is very easy to do. But that's what ordinary people do. You want to be extraordinary, you take ownership, you resolve the problem, and you go out, repeat the success that you already experienced.
Right. So you're an Indian with Indian passport, right? You're not an American citizen working for an American company in Russia. How does that work out? I mean, we're not in India. We're not used to such working. We would say no, only Indians will work on Indian defense projects. I don't think India is opened up yet to get foreign nationals to come and work for us in our. So, what was that experience like of being an Indian in an American company and working in Russia?
It
That's a
was,
unique. That's a completely unique experience for anyone to have.
yeah, I realize it more now than back then. I was just recently, I had graduated from my university in the US. I started working for a small um, company which was catering to the various services that the federal government acquires.
Right.
And one of the projects that we catered to was with a company called Hughes Aircraft.
Right.
Later on, Hughes Aircraft was procured by or merged with Raytheon. And so I ended up working with Raytheon, but I initially started with Hughes. And the small company I worked with had a subcontract with Hughes.
Right.
And that is where I think they might have said, well, maybe this guy is something that we
Okay.
might want. And so they picked me up, they offered me a job and said, look, we have a job for you, but you'll have to be based in Moscow.
Okay.
And a few years ago, before coming to the US, I was in Moscow.
In Moscow, yeah.
So I was absolutely comfortable with Moscow.
Okay. You knew Russian.
Yes, I did.
Right.
And that is, I think, the key why I was successful in executing the projects, if you call it success, is that knowing the language, especially in the Russian context, is very essential. Russia is not a very open country. you don't find even 2% of the population, even in large cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg, who speak English.
Right.
And so when you're able to not just speak the language, but speak the lingo,
Mm.
and there's a difference,
Yeah.
that is where you do team building, that is where you get things achieved. And I think that helped me a lot in that particular project as well as in the subsequent assignments that I had.
So I think from Raytheon, you, in fact, you worked later on in Russia on a retail chain, and expanded that retail chain also from some 17 stores to 75 stores. Tell us about that journey.
Yeah, that was completely unexpected even for me. I had never worked retail before that. And for some reason, somebody in the organization felt that this guy would be the right guy for us to pick
Hmm.
to expand our chain. Like I said, I had no experience working with retail.
And you were in Russia with Raytheon at that time, or you
I
had come
wasn't.
back?
I was in India.
You are okay.
So I got headhunted while I was in Pune.
Okay.
They rolled me an offer. I accepted it. I accepted the challenge. And there was a lot of broken things in the organization then, which I was able to bring to the notice of the two
This was
principals.
which year?
This was 2011.
Okay.
And so we worked together with the owners of the company who I was reporting to directly.
Hmm.
They did not really have a corporate culture, so we had to introduce that. We went on a huge growth spree. So we had to acquire a lot of talent, we had to acquire the right people, we had to ensure the right structure was in place, because each new person that you acquire is a bit of a cost to the organization,
Right.
unless that person is able to do a lot more to justify the cost. And so we were able to grow at the space at the pace at which we did. We were able to create a team. I was able to bring in bring in the concept of service with a smile, which was
Okay.
alien to a lot of the Russians,
Acha.
because Russia is
Very
not known
hard,
for
very
its.
transactional.
Uh, Not only that, everything used to be state-owned in
Right.
Russia.
Yeah.
So if you're working at a store, the store is state-owned. You have a government job. You know you're never ever going to get fired.
Hmm.
And so when a customer walks in, you're doing him a favor by being at the job.
Okay.
And that mindset had to be changed. Service with a smile had to be explained to
Hmm.
the people who actually were interfacing with the customers. And that link that you and I spoke about earlier on when we
Yeah.
were having a little bit of coffee, that link between the customer walking in and the monthly salary that is made by the employee, that
Correct.
has to be very clear in their minds, so that they are able to give the service which is expected.
And what was the product that the retail chain that was?
It was portable electronics, essentially focused on the cameras. So we were
Okay.
national level distributors for Canon, Nikon, Sony, and um, there was one more, Samsung.
Okay. And how many years were you there at that in this company?
I was there for about 5 years,
5 years.
and we were
Okay.
able to witness that growth during
So
that time.
2011 to maybe 2016.
Correct.
So you've, with all this experience in US, Russia, in retail, and you dealt with the Ministry of Defense and you brokered deals, not just one is working, other one is brokering deals and coordinating between the US Department of Defense, Russian Ministry of Defense, and various tech firms. So, how do you get people of diverse culture, getting them to come to alignment and agreeing to with all the political and various frictions?
It wasn't easy. I'll be very frank and upfront with you. There was a lot of challenges. Each time there was a war anywhere in the world, there were repercussions on the project that we were working with, because quite frankly, bringing together two former enemies for a common goal of demilitarization
Right.
has its own challenges.
True.
You have to have a certain amount of depth in you to understand the complexities and then come up with solutions so that you are able to talk to both parties, satisfy them, and then go ahead and implement them.
Yeah.
So very, very challenging, but at the same time, very satisfying uh, years that I spent working these projects. Um, Giriji, these were the days when even when you had a bad day, you'd still go home feeling, I've done my bit making the world a safer place.
Okay.
So that level of satisfaction is completely takes you to a different high, even without anything artificial that you need to take to get that high. Uh, the challenges were many. The work ethic is very different. On a Friday afternoon after 3 o'clock, you will probably have a tough time finding any decision maker in Russia
And vodka will be flowing everywhere.
after 6 p.m. Yes, but after 3 p.m., finding them on the workplace is going to be difficult.
Okay.
US, on the other hand, is just the opposite.
Mm.
The work volume is set for the week. You stay there till it gets done.
Okay.
So we were kind of, the forward deployed. That's what we were called, by the way.
Right, okay.
Within our own company, we were called the forward deployed guys.
Okay.
We were deployed in the
In enemy territory.
in
Or the
enemy territory.
erstwhile enemy territory.
Correct, correct. And obviously, intelligence agencies of both the countries were involved without overtly letting us know about it. Phones obviously were tapped. They used to get very, very hot. The first sign that a phone is tapped. And there were, like I said, multiple challenges. But despite these difficult hurdles, we were able to find execution to the satisfaction of both the parties. And obviously, the common goal was a very, very tall goal, which was to make the world a safer place. And I dare say it was because of these projects that when 9/11 happened, it was planes that flew into the towers, not missiles.
Mm. And these are all nuclear-armed missiles that you all were working on?
We were dealing with nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons.
Anything you have, any incidents you remember about what is the technical term for when you dismantle a missile with all the safeties? Is there a technical term for it? I think there is, but I'm not getting it. So anything you might remember of those instances when you are, these are real kilotons or whatever of power-packed missile which you have to ensure it is de-armed
These were
and safely stored.
ICBMs.
ICBMs.
So these were intercontinental
ballistic
missiles. The real bad ones, because they go up in the atmosphere, come down at a very high speed, and intercepting them is not an easy task. But essentially, the various programs that we implemented, there was something which was called the solid rocket motor disposal program. The motor that drives the missile, it has to be disposed.
Okay.
There was a silo dismantle project. So the silo that holds these missiles, the silos had to be filled with either sand, mud, or concrete, so that the silo is never ever used again.
Right.
There was the warhead, which had to be dismantled and stored in a central location with extremely high levels of security around it. So we were working with the Russians to provide them with the various security equipment, including fire and intruder alarm system and lighting and the camera systems, so that this stuff doesn't fall into the wrong hands.
Yeah, the uraniums.
Correct. Highly enriched ones.
Highly enriched, yeah. Okay.
And that's not the scariest part. The chemical and biological are the scarier ones.
Yeah. So if that leaks out, then there can be total chaos everywhere.
Total chaos. The response is not really well practiced, even with civil defense or with military defense mechanisms, because COVID gave us an example. It was essentially a biological element that was spread around the world, and we all know what kind of hardships we went through. So we don't know whether that was intentional or not. A lot of theories going around it. But if that is done intentionally, then that makes it that much more difficult to digest.
So after your stint at Raytheon, I think you came back to India around 2017 or so?
2006 is...
Okay, you joined the MT, the World Peace University, MIT World Peace University.
That's after the second stint.
Right. So now, during that phase, from an organizational culture to a pure university culture, that to an Indian university, how was that transition? Did something hit you as saying, oh, where have I landed up? Or how do I change the organizational layout here? What was that experience like?
Well, changing an organization like MIT WPU is a tall order. I don't think a single man is able to do that. Despite that, I think I was able to give them my best in terms of bringing in a numbers-driven culture. There was an organization, this is an organization which has a legacy of about 45 years. But I think the leadership was not happy with the overall ranking of the organization, national ranking as well as international ranking. So that was the mandate that I was given, saying, okay, we need you to look at the overall strategy and transformation of the organization.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was working with the teaching staff, I was working with the non-teaching staff, I was working with the various deans and the vice chancellor of the organization to bring about this change.
Okay.
And that also has its own challenges, because once you have a legacy, people are used to doing things in a certain way,
Yes.
and convincing
So
them.
organizational inertia takes over.
It does. There's also this inertia to change. Change management
Yeah.
uh, techniques had to be brought in, and we were able to gradually see the benefits and get the stakeholders to see the benefits of changing and bringing in the new culture, which makes each department financially independent, saying, okay, these are your expenses, these are
Okay.
uh, your income streams, how financially viable are you?
Mm-hmm.
Lot of different things which we were able to do, and overall that also was an amazing experience, because before this I had never worked in an educational
Yes, yeah.
institution. So it seems to be the flavor in my life is I end up working with projects which I had never worked on before.
Okay. That
And
gives you a adrenaline high.
the challenge keeps you going.
Yeah.
And we spent an extraordinary amount of time in Russia. Just living in Russia is challenging itself.
True.
You survive for 9 months, the weather is overwhelming,
Yeah.
and then you enjoy for 3 months.
Yeah.
So, but those 9 months is when you have to keep yourselves on the toes.
So you at MIT, what was the toughest thing to sort of crack over there? Because you got different people, like you said, there is teaching staff, there is non-teaching staff, there is senior lot. Everybody has to change. It's not just one department changing. Changing one department probably is easier than compared to a full-scale organization. Uh, how long does it take to change such mindset? Because it's ultimately more mindset oriented.
Yes, it is.
How does one change mindset of people like this?
It's not easy. Changing mindset, one, it's not easy. Two, it takes a long time.
Mm.
The biggest challenge, I think that was the question that you're hinting at, is to get the academicians to agree that change needs to be brought about.
Mm.
A lot of the times the academicians are thinking, oh, well,
Things are
everything's
going
fine.
strong, yeah.
I'm doing my research, I'm doing my teaching, I'm doing my administrative duties, everything's fine and dandy. Why do I need this guy?
Mm.
That is the challenge.
So when you put a number in front of them saying we are whatever that number was, and we need to get to an X number, does that galvanize them into some sort of action, or does that still, even that you need to, why do we need to get, is that a question mark that comes in people?
Initially, there is resistance.
Yeah.
That happens all the time,
Yeah,
Giriji.
yeah.
The resistance is natural. You should expect it.
Yeah.
Whenever you want to bring about a change, resistance will be there. It's part of the job. Uh, Despite the resistance, it is your skill to be able to convince the other person that what we're trying to do is for the organizational good. We're not trying to settle scores. We want to take the organization to the next level. Leadership buy-in makes a big difference, because change starts with the leadership.
Absolutely.
Bottoms-up approach doesn't work.
Doesn't work, yeah.
Top-down is the only way to go.
So once the mandate comes through that we have to change, then probably a little easier for the people along the way to accept the need for change.
It does. It helps. Like I said, bottoms up is not the way to go. But the change again is gradual, because you're talking about some highly educated, highly uh, opinionated people who usually are working in their own little fiefdoms, and they are the bosses in their little fiefdoms. And then you're trying to bring about change.
So
Not easy.
can you relate to any specific things that you instituted there? For example, working in teams, an organization which is used to working in silos. My department, my team which is here, and then you have another department. Typically, corporates have this. I'm sure MIT would have had that, because that becomes the empire which the senior person. How do you break these and get them to work together?
Well, initially what happened was MIT started out as an engineering college.
Right.
It went on to be a university much later.
Yes.
So everybody was, like you said, very, very used to working in silos.
Yes.
This is the physics building, this is the engineering building, this is the polymer building, and so on. So even if you have one person in a particular cohort, one student, he is occupying a classroom of 35
Correct.
students.
Yeah.
So you're talking about occupying the space itself, having a professor allocated to it on a
Yeah.
full-time basis. You have to look at your utilities and all of these things. So we were actually able to synthesize the numbers and present them to the faculty
Okay.
and show them how we can benefit as an organization just by moving the class from one building to the next one.
Okay.
And this is done all over the world. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. I remember my days in the Soviet Union, also in the United States. There used to be various campuses. And so some classes are held in one campus, some classes are held in other campuses.
Right.
And you just do it naturally. But there was a little bit of the resistance there.
Okay, so that means the chemistry class will happen only in the chemistry building.
Yes.
Even though there is only limited number of seats over there, whereas they can easily go to some other place, maybe a smaller space to
Correct.
be done, and there would be barricades built up on that, saying no, we are one department here, and how dare you encroach into my department?
Correct.
Okay, great.
Those are the sort of problems that we had to engage with and try and resolve.
Yeah, because people are good. The people are fantastic.
Yes.
So, so great. So, so you use you're a Six Sigma qualified person. So, and when like in your 11 years with Raytheon and with this thing, various geopolitical events also suddenly disrupt everything. How do you handle these large projects, which are defense projects, and geopolitical turbulence happens? I mean, what goes on into behind the scenes thinking of the people that are there?
One of the first things that happens, Girishji, is your site access is hampered.
Right. So that creates a lot of pressure because you got to deliver something.
Yes.
That must be creating a huge amount of pressure to deliver.
Absolutely.
And how do you handle that pressure?
Very high visibility, very highly politicized, um, very highly criticized in the world press, not just in the Russian or the American context, but Japan was involved in it. A lot of the European countries were involved in it. So all of these things were highly visible because it came from the exchequer, came from public funding. There was accountability. There was a lot of proponents as well as a lot of opponents of these projects. A lot of people in the US especially felt it's a waste of time and money and effort. So there was a lot of criticism that had to be taken. That would put a lot of pressure on the people who executed these projects, such as my team and I.
Right.
And so any major friction in the world, for example, the war in Iraq, other wars in the Middle East, we would immediately have repercussions on our project. Our site access would be hampered because we would go to all these super secret
Correct.
Russian sites, which even today, by the way, are not seen on the map.
Right.
Even today, you
They don't
see
exist
these.
as far as the world is concerned.
So you would go to a railhead, the entire train would empty. The 3 of us or 4 of us would remain in the train.
Okay.
After the train is emptied, they would come with their dogs, ensure that all the bogie, the entire train is empty,
Okay.
and look at our passes. Since we had the passes, the train would then go another 20 kilometers in a wooded area,
Okay.
which is not demarcated on the map. And that's
Wow.
a secret city,
Okay.
a closed city, where people need special passes to go
Enter,
in or come out. Even the locals, they need to apply for a pass. They need to justify why they need to leave. And it was like a golden cage.
Right.
Everything is available there.
Okay.
You want a medical facility, you want a library, you want a school, you want an educational facility. Everything is there. Assured jobs for the people who live there.
Okay.
But you're a bird in a cage.
Wow.
Usually doesn't work. No matter how good the cage is.
True. I know, absolutely. You're a prisoner still.
Prisoner still.
So how do you handle such pressures? What is your go-to mantra to handle these pressures which you absolutely cannot handle?
Very, very good teamwork. That is the only way to handle it. A team that understands you and you understand them. Leadership which motivates you to do well. Especially with my time with Raytheon, I was able to learn a lot from a lot of my leadership. Tremendous learning experience. A lot of different life skills that I learned from there, which I continue to use even today.
Right. So you mentioned life skills. Leadership is all life skills. Leadership is more attitude. Now with AI coming in, we hear of AI, fintech, and I think you've been to Wharton, I think, right?
Yes.
What exactly you did at Wharton?
See, I wanted to ensure that I was keeping in sync with the changing world.
Correct.
You don't want to be outdated,
Absolutely, yeah.
right? So one of the things I realized I wanted to update my skills on was cryptocurrency and
Okay.
blockchain and financial technologies.
Okay.
So I took a few courses,
Uh-huh.
updated myself to stay current, to stay relevant, and that was
That was your intro into fintech.
correct.
So tell us something about all these terms that you mentioned. You mentioned blockchain. You mentioned uh, what else did you mention? I even forgot that. I told you I'm a digital dinosaur.
That's an that's an understatement. Yeah, I don't think you are.
No, seriously, I am. Yeah. I must tell you this real joke. It's a real digressing from the main topic, but continue recording. Literally, I'm not joking. Okay, when I was in the Navy. If in those days were floppy disks were the major thing.
Oh, yes.
3.5-inch floppies.
Yes.
if you remember. So if you give my boss a floppy, saying sir इसको संभाल कर रखो, इसमें वायरस है, तो छोड़ देगा. वायरस है, मेरे को लग जाएगा तो. That is the level that I come from, the digital dinosaur. So you can imagine. So I still anyway, jokes apart. But yeah, so in fintech, so can you just what is blockchain and how is it now going to, how is it even now changing our world around us? Anything?
I think I'll give you a quick example. I think that will help your audiences understand. These days, even degrees which are issued by organizations, even MIT WPU, by the way, the degree that is issued has a blockchain element to it.
Okay.
It has a chip inside,
Okay.
which is used for verification of the degree. It goes backwards through the entire blockchain to tell the end user
Mm-hmm.
that this degree is in fact a verified degree. It is not a fake.
Okay.
So degrees even are upgraded with blockchain technology. Usually you hear these words, these terms in the context of financial technologies,
Right.
financial transactions. Okay, somebody is being paid person A is paying person B using cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
But blockchain has a lot more application in industry, a lot more beyond financial world.
Okay. So even now, like nowadays, we get digital passports that uses blockchain for as a chip-based passports and all that
It
stuff.
should. I haven't researched
Right.
the new technology being used in the Indian passport. I haven't researched that yet. But it should be able to do that. It should be able to confirm your identity, confirm that it's an original issued passport by the Indian
Mm-hmm.
foreign services and not a fake. By the way, there's a lot of fakes out there, and that's a very scary situation.
Yeah. Okay. Fake passports.
Fake passports. That's a big
Okay.
problem, especially in the context of the geopolitical incidents which is
True.
happening in and around the
Yeah.
Indian subcontinent right now.
So how does AI and fintech go hand in hand?
These are tools.
Okay.
The tools have to have an ideology to use them. Okay, so fintech is a tool.
Mm.
Artificial intelligence is a tool. Ultimately, you have to have a vision. You have to have a direction
Mm.
for which you want to use these tools, and they are a means to the end, not the other way around. AI is not the end means.
Correct. So do you think AI will lead to well, my personal opinion is whatever little I can see. When you talk of leadership, when you talk of life lessons, when you talk of leading people and teams and all that stuff, AI is very good at technical stuff. But understanding emotions, emotional intelligence, AI to me seems zero, maybe 0.1. It's still long, long way off before AI can replace humans wherever you need to take judgmental decisions. AI will go in a set route and take a decision. Right, wrong, it will justify itself by saying, rule says this, therefore I'm right. Human being might say, rule says this, let me give it a go this time. Any thoughts on such AI decision making or how AI is going to impact us?
I think you've hit the nail on the head, Girishji, because emotions is something that technology currently doesn't quite understand. Emotions is fuzzy logic.
Yeah.
It's the gray area between black and white. It's the area between 1 and 0. Um, Machines usually work with ones and zeros, the digital world, or with blacks and whites. They don't do very well with gray. There is some fuzzy logic which can be used in the computing world, but you're right. AI is very, very data driven. If the data inputs are continuously being updated, that is how you can keep your AI system relevant. But emotional quotient there, there's some limitations.
Because it's very difficult to quantify emotions.
Correct.
Everything else you can quantify, but how do you quantify was my decision right or wrong? I mean, time will tell whether it's right or wrong. And AI will take the decision, there will be a lot of repercussions to it, and then we'll be dealing
And
with the
that is
repercussions.
why humans still have an edge over technology.
So we need the kill switch.
Correct. And we need to keep ourselves updated, upgraded. The machines that you deploy ultimately have to be able to do the things that you ask them to do.
Yeah.
The machine should not be telling you what to do.
So in the news nowadays, a lot of things keep coming up. So it's a general thing that keeps coming up, saying that AI is going to be replacing lots of jobs, and there are people losing their job because of AI. Do you think, with your experience, is that going to be a real trend, or is there already a reverse taking place? Because I just yesterday I was seeing a report where companies are reevaluating that AI is still not the be all and end all. You still need humans, and they are sort of reversing back their something called as tokens. I think that's one of the terms they use there, saying that tokens used are so many million. Why did we have to use so many tokens? Humans would have done it for half the time, half the tokens. So any thoughts you have on that?
Yeah, I think it's some ways to go, like you said. I don't think AI is going to completely replace the IT industry. There's been a lot of talk about it. Maybe elements of it, but not everything. And you have to realize AI also is driven by humans,
Yeah,
right? You have the machines which are created to do certain tasks efficiently, but it's a human being writing that code.
true.
So that also needs humans. The future is definitely going to be data driven, even more so than what we see today. Data centers is going to be the future. They are going to be very, very highly energy inefficient. They consume a lot of energy. They are not going to be sustainable in terms of the cooling systems. They take up a lot of water for
Yeah.
the cooling systems. So all of these things need to be looked at when data centers are set up. I don't think we should try to intentionally spike the growth.
Hmm.
I think we should allow it to grow naturally. People need to bear in mind that their skill sets have to be updated so that AI doesn't disrupt your livelihood, doesn't disrupt your career. And for that, you have to keep yourself upgraded, keep yourself looking for new opportunities to learn. The learning experience goes a long way.
This thing of if you have any knowledge about quantum computing, that's a new thing that is also. I don't know whether AI uses quantum computing or vice versa. Again, a digital dinosaur. But anything about how will quantum computing and AI disrupt us or help us?
I think AI currently uses
Uses
some
quantum
elements of
computing.
quantum computing.
Okay.
And this essentially takes your level of computing to a completely different level. When I was researching US universities, I was based in a small, one of the very few English language libraries in the Soviet Union, not just Russia, in the Soviet Union.
Okay.
And I was researching various universities where I could go uh, embark on my educational journey. There was this one university which was essentially advertising that we have 13 gigabytes of memory in our mainframe system.
Okay.
Today, your cell phone has more than that.
Okay.
So, the transition is tremendous. It's not going to stop. I don't think we should attempt to stop it. Quantum computing is also going to take quantum leaps, taking it
Right.
forward. So we should learn to live with the changing times. I don't think we should there's organizations that go on strike saying there's computers are being brought in, which
Yeah.
means people are going to be laid off.
Yeah.
That's not the case. The people just have to be retrained to use the computers.
True.
I think there were some organizations in India which went on a strike because they wanted to procure calculators.
Okay.
Okay.
But
So
40, 50 years ago, I'm sure it happened.
yes,
There's no doubts about it.
yes, it did happen.
Yeah.
These are the kind of things that we iteratively go through. We have to keep the learning, um, keep it going, and that learning circle is what keeps you upgraded and updated.
So now, with your experience as a consultant, what do you think is the biggest struggle with the current leadership in various corporations, organizations that you are consulting with for their future growth? Anything you'd like to? anything comes to your mind to say, this is a bottleneck that people need to address to, because there's so many things changing, all this quantum computing and AI, and the world is, I mean, if you just think back to our generation, I mean, we are probably similar, little bit here and there, but when I was there was no phones. The cell phone is not invented. Computers are not invented. So we come from that era till now, where every day there's something new. If you bought it, it's obsolete.
Correct.
So, what is your advice or suggestion to the young entrepreneurs or old entrepreneurs who are there out there looking for something?
Well, the young ones I think will do well. Okay, the old ones need to ensure that you always focus on what is best for the organization, not necessarily what is best for you or your department or your immediate circle. If you focus on what is best for the organization, if you align your success with the organization's success, you will never fail. You will always be successful. That is something to keep your focus on. That's my suggestion to the leadership of the various organizations around the world, around India, which is a very, very fast growing, large economy. Focus on what is best for the organization.
So, where do you see us heading now as an Indian economy? Uh, Next 10 years, what is your prognosis? Or
India is the place to be.
absolutely, I
India is
think
the place to be. No two ways about it. Will there be challenges? Yes, we have a lot of socio-economic challenges. We speak about the uh, dividends, the various population dividends that we have, the various uh, educational dividends that we have. We have a not too bad educational system. It needs to be tweaked. Reform needs to happen. But we also are enjoying a lot of the benefits of the policies which have been implemented in the past.
Mhm.
And this process will continue to be implemented in the future. I'm pretty sure of that. I think the next 25 to 30 years, India is the place to be, to work, to invest, to grow. Um, you need to have a presence in India.
Do you think Indian education system needs to undergo some massive change to handle this completely new systems that are going to come in? Do you think we need to rethink that erstwhile rote learning that people have done well? I mean, people, sometimes when you discuss it, people say, look, from the same rote learnings, all the CEOs of these big companies have come through. America has got some massive amount of CEOs, right from uh, Google to Microsoft, all Indians, Adobe, and all Indians are there who came to the same system.
Correct.
So why change? They are adapting. So why, if it's working out well for so many guys, what is your take on it?
I think research and research-oriented learning needs to be the flavor for the next upcoming few years. Research is largely ignored in our nation, in the educational organizations, because of lack of funding, lack of focus on research. A few US universities, if you look at their educational or their research budget, that is probably larger than the budget of the entire educational ecosystem in India.
Oh,
That is
wow.
the kind of difference
Differentiation, huh?
that exists. Ditto for China. They're huge on research.
Right.
And research is not necessarily limited to engineering or pure sciences. There's a lot of research that can happen in commerce, in accounting, in mathematics.
Right.
So this is a myth that research is only something that happens in the engineering departments of the educational institutions. That's not the case. Um, you talked about research, so I'll just share my thoughts with you real quick.
Please.
Education, judicial system,
Yeah.
and the healthcare system. All three of these need to be looked at very, very closely. All three of them are in urgent need of reform.
True. And also, I think we are very low on the patenting of because there's no research. Probably very few patents come through.
Correct.
And
I think coming back to the loop that we just spoke about, the judicial system, a lot of the patent-related litigation that happens, the judges themselves may not be equipped to handle the cases. So the judicial system also needs to be upgraded to look at this kind of litigation.
absolutely. So it was wonderful chatting with you. Anything you'd like to tell the new generation coming up? who probably will, like I said, age of 30 to 50, what is the future?
The
I think
future,
it's an exciting future.
it is.
But how should
it
we
is.
prepare ourselves for the exciting future?
Expand your horizons, try to learn new skills, try to be relevant in the new world. You're in the right country if you're in India. If not, think about coming to India. I have done that. I have come to India after being overseas for a very, very long time. I bring my experiences, my education with me, and I think it is a wonderful place to be. Certainly with challenges, but the dividend that India will give you probably does not have parallel in the world right now.
Okay, before we finish again, let me add, because you mentioned this, for a person who's worked abroad for so many years, working in India is not going to be easy. What sort of a mental change one needs to do or accept or prepare for so that you can come to India and enjoy the growth that is happening here? Anything on that?
Just one word: patience.
Okay.
You have to be patient with the system. You will not be able to change the system in a few weeks or a few months. Don't push yourself to do that. Eventually, the change will come about, but until then, you have to be patient.
So basically, when you get something, just start counting 1 to 10 slowly.
Very slowly.
Very slowly. Thank you very much. That was lovely and interesting conversation with you, Abhijat. A great conversation, and look forward to more such interesting conversations with you.
Thank you, Giriji.
Thank you
for
very,
having
very
me.
much. It's a pleasure. So let me present you my book.
Okay.
It's a book on, it's called as, Shh, it's not a secret, because it's on transformational leadership and life mastery. And I think leadership is not a secret. It's been there since the Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana. It's not a secret. There's lots of things are there on it. So I tried my little bit to put it saying it's not a secret. So thank you very much just
Thank
for
you. I'll make sure I read it. But you have to sign it for me.
I will definitely. Thank you.
Thank you,
Definitely.
Giriji.
Thank you. That was a masterclass in global agility. Abhijat reminds us that whether you are managing high stakes defense risks or scaling corporate enterprises, true leadership lies in navigating friction and driving relentless transformation. A massive thank you to Abhijat Sawarkar for joining us on the Compass today. Until next time, keep leading.